Some games are super easy and laid back, and some of them are very intricate and really tough to play, and today's video is the latter. Hey, Nick from 9cardTCG, and today we're going to be looking at another game. I was ready to say another webcam battle, but it's not a webcam battle. This is an IRL battle that we did at locals nearby. So thank you very much to everybody at Illustrious Cards and Games for not only hosting the event, but allowing me to record the gameplay and put it up on YouTube. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, so thank you very much. Now, and also, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Tells YouTube this is a good channel, other people should watch it, just trying to get through it. Alright, so this gameplay, really interesting matchup, and it's a deck that I have not seen a lot of. This is it's a water box, and it's not a Palkia water box. It's just a straight Frostmoth water box with Radiant Greninja and Teleon, the Articuno that paralyzes. And I was playing a Lost Box deck, but not any Lost Box deck. I was playing a Rapid Strike Urshifu spread Lost Box that uses Radiant Greninja as attackers. It uses the Earth and Seal Stone to place damage counters on V Pokemon. I didn't get to really do any of that, but there was some really interesting lines of play, and I'm excited to show off this gameplay, so let's just get straight to it. Alright, Fist Bump is underway. I get to start. I did win the coin flip, which was very nice. We got a Comfey in the active against the Sableye. I have, at this point, no idea what I'm playing. And we're just going to start flower selecting. Really not much else to do. I have choices between a Comfey and a Battle VIP Pass. I get rid of the Comfey because the Battle VIP Pass allows me to get another Comfey and a second Pokemon. So, I mean, while yes, it is a possibility that I prize my other two Comfeys, and I wouldn't know that because I didn't get a chance to search the deck yet, I did kind of take a gamble and say, you know what, I think the risk is worth it here. I don't think I prized two Comfeys, at least I hope I didn't. You can see I definitely didn't. And it gets me get a second card guaranteed. I get the Greninja. I think for a moment about getting the Urshifu, but I said, you know what? I think the Greninja is going to be a little bit better. That early game consistency is going to be really nice. I see the Sableye. I think, all right, maybe there's a possibility for me to pull off a nice Moonlight Shuriken, take out a couple of Sableyes, get some early prizes. And I don't really want my opponent to know too much of what I'm doing unless I have to. So we just go ahead, start off with one card in the Lost Zone. And this still could be, as far as I'm concerned, Arceus Inteleon. It could be Palkia, it could be Water Box, and does end up being Water Box, but I don't know that just yet. But we get a second flower selecting after using concealed cards. Getting some cards into the Lost Zone pretty early is really important for really any type of Lost Zone deck. I do struggle for a second here getting my fat fingers into my dice holder to be able to find a die that I can just grab and start to keep track of my Lost Zone count. Switching after I scoop up that does reset the ability of the flower selecting, so I get to use it for a third time. We're not even able to use a supporter yet, and I'm already 3 cards into the Lost Zone, but that third, I guess technically, flower selecting does find a Battle VIP Pass and a Rapid Strike Energy. And at this point, the Battle VIP Pass is much better than the Rapid Strike Energy. I have more Rapid Strike Energies, so kind of figure more early game consistency. I already have 3 in the Lost Zone, so I decide I definitely have to get a Cramorant, right? I'm guaranteed to get 4 in the Lost Zone this next turn, so getting the Cramorant to be able to attack is very important, because I don't technically know what my opponent has or what they're able to do. So maybe there's a chance I just dunk the Sableye and just either win because they totally whiff something, or just take out a really important consistency piece on their side of the board. Again, I thought about getting the Urshifu, but I decided there's really no reason to at this stage. I do not know what's going on. I don't want them to really trying to boss it up and keep it in the active, and now I'm just hitting for 30 if I can find a Fighting Energy or a Rapid Strike Energy with the Strafe. Yes, I have plenty of Switch and Escape Ropes, but I don't want to use them on getting an Urshifu out of the active, so I just say we're going to flower select and get the Cramorant and the Comfey. So that's kind of why I didn't get the Urshifu now, again, that consistency is more important to me. We go ahead and switch. I could have just, kept it and just been like, oh, I'm going to switch to this new one, but whatever. It is what it is. We use flower selecting for the 4th time in our very first turn. No supporter. I do get rid of a switch card, which can be kind of important, but I just pass it off to my opponent and say, you know what? I think I did enough. Don't want to burn too many resources that early. I might need some later, and that's why we decide to end there. So I'm ready to attack this next turn. I'm more than halfway there to a Mirage Gate play, right? Just a Comfey and a Colress gets me Mirage Gate, which is really, really nice. My opponent's starting off with a Capacious Bucket. Obviously, you get to get 2 water energies from your deck. Now, this is nice for a couple of reasons. One, it thins the deck out of water energies. It just thins the deck in general. Lets them search the deck to kind of see what they're working with. And now they get to play that Hisuian Heavy Ball. This is a kind of tough decision for my opponent. There's an Ice Cube and a Snom in their prizes. You can see that Sky Steel Stone, which is another reason why I am glad that I did not bench the Urshifu, because I don't want to give up 4 prizes on a VMAX when they use that Sky Steel Stone. So that can be really, really dangerous. So, watching it back and in hindsight, knowing what I know the deck has and can do, I'm very happy I made that decision. My opponent really deciding between the Ice Cube and the Snom. The Snom might have been the better choice. Being able to set up that Frostmoth as early as possible is really important. But they're just kind of trying to map it out. You see them using, doing the whole meme with the fingers, kind of calculating, and I do have a little fun at my opponent's expense. But you gotta be able to enjoy and laugh, and I started cutting their prizes. Like, what am I doing? Why am I just, whatever, who cares? So they get the Ice Cube. Now, this is actually a very important part. They almost attach the energy to the Ice Cube, but they second guess that decision because they look at the board, they look at my Radiant Greninja, they see I have 4 cards in the Lost Zone. It's very possible that I pull off a like some type of Mirage Gate play, Moonlight Shuriken, and do 90 damage to 2 of their Pokemon, which would be the 2 Sables, and completely crushing their board. So they elect to instead attach to the active Sable and use the Keep Calling to get some more Sables into play, which I do think is the better choice, because not only do they have more options for future turns in terms of using things like Shady Dealings, it's just, I think it's just a safer play. Plus, now they have a pivot option with the energy attached to the active Sable, and if I don't knock it out with spoilers, I do not, I can go ahead. They can go ahead and just attach an attack with Inteleon later down the line. Because I start to know that this is a water box deck, I am afraid of Radiant Greninja, and I'm definitely afraid of Aqua Bullet on the Inteleon. So I said I'm going to bench this Manaphy as soon as possible so I can protect my Comfeys and everything. Flower Select, get rid of that Rapid Strike energy, and then we go ahead and just do another Flower Selecting. Earth and Steel Stone will not make a difference in this matchup. Even if there are Pokemon V, again, us watching watching this video, we know there's going to be a Pokemon V if we saw the Sky Steel Stone in the prizes. So whether or not there is a Pokemon V, I decide I don't really need to attack with it with the Earth and Steel Stone, because I'm probably not going to see a V Pokemon until a lot later. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Doesn't make a lot of sense to use it. A lot of times in these single prize matchups, it can often be determined based on just who gets that first knockout. That is something to consider, especially in a format like this where there's really not a ton of comeback cards, right? What are your options? Marnie, Judge, Roxanne, not really a whole lot of options. So a couple more the Flower Selectings, and I'm at 7 in the Lost Zone already, which is really, really nice. Started manually attaching to the Radiant Greninja to start getting, just starting to threat that Moonlight Shuriken, like knock out those Sables, and I go ahead and attack the Ice Cube, which is really annoying because Ice Cube has 120 health, and I do not run Galarian Zigzagoon to just take that KO, but really smart play by my opponent, sending up that Ice Cube after I used Escape Rope. If I had anything else, I just would have knocked out that Sable, But they go ahead, Shady Dealings, and they're going to grab an Irida. And that Irida gets them a lot of stuff. They get a lot of options off of this one Irida. They're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to tell you already, they're going to get a Rare Candy and an Inteleon, a Shady Dealings Inteleon. So those are the two cards they find off of the Irida. And there's going to be a moment where I just clarify what they got, because I wasn't sure if they had like the Shady Dealings in their hand. I didn't exactly see what they did, so just kind of confirming that Irida got them the Inteleon as the water Pokemon and the Rare Candy as the item. Now that they used the Inteleon they evolved, they get to just search a deck for any two trainer cards they want, which I'm so glad that card is rotating, let me tell you. But one of the cards they're going to look to get is a Scoop Up Net. They get a Quick Ball and a Scoop Up Net. They're going to go ahead and play that Quick Ball first. They're going to get rid of that Emergency Jelly. Not really something they're going to be using right now, and I think they value the other cards in hand a little bit more. Instead of finding a Snom or a Manaphy, they go with the Radiant Greninja, which, yes, you do want the consistency. I agree. But not having that Snom is going to really come back to hurt them later. So they go ahead and get the Radiant Greninja, and they use concealed cards to draw two more. Maybe they're thinking, if I find another Scoop Up Net, I'll just pick up one of those Sables, or I'll pick up like the Drizzile, and then evolve the other Sable, and then leave that spot blank for whatever. But they use the Scoop Up Net that they have onto the Ice Cube, so not only do they clear the damage, but it acts as a pivot, so they can get that Inteleon into the active, attach a Water Energy, and now here comes an Aqua Bullet, which is really annoying. It does knock out that Cramorant, and luckily, Manaphy does protect us from the 20 damage that could stack up and make a huge difference if they place it in the right spots. And also, they would just be able to, like, force me to use things like, what's it called? The Scoop Up Nets to clear that damage, and that's now Scoop Up Nets I'm not using to better progress my board. But Manaphy's there, saves us from dealing with that. We're just going to start off with the concealed cards. I make the decision now. I announced concealed cards, and my opponent's like just confirming. Like, did you use the Comfey? I said no, I concealed cards, and like, then why'd you put the Ordinary Rod in the Lost Zone? I thanked them for catching that mistake. Mistakes do happen when you play, right? It's just something that we do. It's up to you and your opponent to both keep track of the board state and make sure that you're not playing an incorrect board state. So if you see your opponent make a mistake, please tell them. Don't just wait and try to get like some free prizes or something, because then a turn later you're like, oh, judge, they did this thing and now they got extra knowledge. And don't be like that. Just correct the mistake, and if you need a judge, you need a judge to resolve it, but at least identify the mistake quickly. So go ahead, use some more flower selecting in Colress, and I just want to count and make sure I'm at 10. I don't want to start doing things like Sableye and stuff without making sure that I'm at 10, because again, trying to make sure that I have the correct board state. I do, we're at 10, solid, and that 6, that damage on the Greninja was just to show that I use concealed cards. It's not the best way of doing it, by the way. Use literally anything else. Don't use damage dice. If you have like a burn or poison marker or something, just put like an upside down marker on it to show that you used it. Never put damage dice, but it was the only thing that I had very quickly anyway. Now that we're 11, I'm just not going to keep track of that Lost Zone anyway anymore. There's no real reason. Luckily, I haven't really gotten rid of too much. It's just a bunch of switch outs, which will come into play later, but for now, looking pretty good resource-wise, though. The deck is starting to get a little thin. I've kind of gone through it a little bit more than I would have liked, and I haven't taken a single prize card yet. My opponent has taken one, though, so little annoying. We gotta stop making some moves. And like I said before, the person in a single prize matchup like this who starts to take the prizes first is likely going to win. So I'm just trying to, both of us start to have some large hands. No one's really playing anything like money. I escape rope. I do not want to deal with this Inteleon right now, so they go ahead and give me the Greninja. I just say, you know what, I don't really have many options. I kind of just have to use the Cramorant, and even though I don't knock out the Greninja, I can at least put enough damage on it and start to manually power up my Greninja so that I can either knock out the Sables or I can clean up the Greninja KO. But I just get 11 damage counters onto that thing. My opponent's reminded me to clear the damage or like the die from the Greninja since it's no longer my turn. They start off by attaching an air balloon to that Greninja and using the concealed cards. Now, I don't really mind if they just retreat that Greninja. Again, I have my Greninja to KO, and I have Sableye to just clean it up, which is really, really nice because Sableye will bypass Manaphy, and I don't have to worry about like anything like that, right? So, as long as since they attached the air balloon, I'm not convinced. Oh, I'm convinced that not going to use a scoop up net. What they do instead is, like I said, they attach the air balloon, so they're just going to manually retreat. They put 2 damage onto the Greninja there, which is a little annoying, and now that means it's set up for an Aqua Bullet later, right? It has 130 health, Aqua Bullet does 120. Putting that quick shooting damage does force me to either scoop up net it or do something, but really kind of annoying if I'm being honest with you. So we go ahead, start off our turn with the flower selecting, and now I have to start making some decisions here. My opponent did not evolve those Sables, and I'm pretty sure there's an evolution in sense. You can see it in their hand, and you start to wonder why. They had the evolution incense. They could have used that to get a Drizzile to find a scoop up net to not only clear the Greninja's damage, but act as the pivot as well. If you're concerned that I'm going to knock out those Sables, you might as well use them, right? Not only now you thin out the Drizzile from the deck, you are forced to use the scoop up net, which maybe they didn't want to do. They want to conserve those as much as possible. I slam that Drapion down. Why do I put the Drapion down? Well, Wild Style, you can see it on the screen right now. It reduces the attack cost for every, not only Fusion Strike Pokemon, which is what most of us use it for, right? Mew is a Fusion Strike Pokemon, so we use it as a Mew counter, but it also reduces the attack for Single Strike and Rapid Strike Pokemon that come into play. So my opponent right now has 3 Rapid Strike Pokemon in play. Very, very important. So now I'm pressuring them with this big 210 HP Pokemon, something that they can't deal with right away. And I have the energies to take the KO. So I just go ahead and use Moonlight Shuriken to knock out those two Sables and try to reduce the consistency of their board. So we go ahead. Now, I do need to attach one more energy to this Drapion. I decide not to do it right away. Because if they do play another Sable, that Drapion now just attacks for free. The Quick Shooting Inteleon is a Rapid Strike Pokemon, so if they bench another Sable, then, you know, I start to attack for free. Or if they bench any other Rapid Strike Pokemon. Conceal, they use the Capacious Bucket. They're going to go ahead and utilize the Training Court and the Radiant Greninja. So they just pick up an energy out of the discard, just put it right back with the Radiant Greninja. It's really a really good combo. Kind of glad Capacious Bucket and Training Court are both getting rotated. Something to keep in mind. But I still haven't dealt with this primary threat of the Inteleon. This Inteleon has both energies attached to it. Not great, right? It is not great. 160 health is quite a lot to deal with. And you can see my opponent using the Nessa to pull up those Sables and some energies out of the discard. I really don't mind that as far as this the supporter for this turn goes. And here's where they, you know, I know that they're playing Nessa, right? Waterbox plays Nessa. Quick Shooting onto the Drapion. And here's where they have to decide, do they want to put another Sable down? That means the Drapion attacks for free. Do they deal with, like, how do they deal with that after I knock it out? So, a little bit of a challenge. The Training Court's in play, which means I can get that water energy sitting right on top of the discard and just attach if they don't bench the Sable, right? So I still get the 3 energies onto this Drapion to attack and knock out that Inteleon. So, and then they really don't have much to do afterward. There's still no Snom to power up their Greninja, to power up their Inteleon, and even the Greninja can only do 90 to the active because of the Manaphy in play. They finally get a Snom. I throw down those markers on their Pokemon just so we keep track of the board state a little bit better. We both made some little mistakes here and there. At least I made a couple mistakes here and there. And want to make sure that we're keeping track of everything properly. So that's why I just kind of slap those over there. Slide them on over like I'm a casino blackjack dealer. No, it doesn't look like they're going to do it. Now, it's a really risky play. But again, I'm able to get the guaranteed KO with the Drapion no matter what. As long as that Training Court stays in play, they see the Water Energy on top. So it's almost like, why not? They're going to take the KO on the what's it called? The Radiant Greninja anyway. So it's like, what do you really have to worry about at this point? You might as well get the Sobble and get the consistency that Drizzile can offer you. Attach for turn onto the Ice Cube. It does take and there they go. There they attach they drop that Sobble. Does take a couple of turns to power up that Ice Cube, and there it is. There's the KO on my Radiant Greninja, which does hurt. Right? Not only do I want to be able to attack with it, but I want to be able to use concealed cards to draw more. At this point, though, I don't really care too much because the deck is getting scary thin for having 4 prizes left. But getting that Sableye, oh boy, Sableye is super, super nasty. The Snom came down just too late, and here I'm starting to think, okay, they don't, the bench is full. There's no Manaphy. Do they not play one? Like, how do you not play one? You have to be worried about it. I do attach to the Drapion. I don't really know why. I do know why. Because I'm going to remove some Pokemon from play. And I want to make sure that Drapion has the energies after I get rid of any potential Rapid Strike Pokemon from play. So I Raihan onto the Drapion. And then I use that to search for a Psychic Energy. Now I play that Ordinary Rod to get some energies of Pokemon back into the deck, just so I don't deck out. Choose the Greninja and the Cramorant. Cramorant's a really nice attacker into like Sobbles, Drizziles, Frostmoth, things like that. And yeah, we just got to start making sure that we do not deck out, because then that is a huge concern. We're going to go ahead and just shuffle up, and at this point, it's just trying to figure out exactly where we want to put the damage for Lost Mine. I don't want to send up that Drapion just yet. The Drapion is just to finish off the Inteleon. I want to take out the Snom before it evolves, before they're really able to power things up with it. So 5 damage immediately going on to the Snom, and I only need 1 or 2 more damage onto that the Greninja to take the KO on that. So that's definitely getting KO. Now they don't have a free pivot with the Air Balloon, and they don't have the Snom anymore to power up into the Frostmoth. So, and then the rest of the damage is probably just going to go on to either the Sobble or the Inteleon. I guess we'll find out together in a second, because I do not remember. So, just kind of looking through the Lost Zone at this point just to make sure, am I missing anything? Is there anything I really need? I already used my Ordinary Rod, but that Training Court's still in play. So once this Sableye gets knocked out, if I want to use another Sableye, I can just Training Court that Psychic Energy and keep it in. Even if I get Marnied or Roxanne, Judge, at least it goes into the deck, and I can pull it out with something like a, what's it called? Like a Mirage Gate. So that's always an option. Here I decide to bench the Urshifu. Again, they don't have Manaphy in play, so I'm like, alright, I'm going to get 2 prizes here. Maybe I can try to get 2 prizes on my next turn to close out this game with an Urshifu VMAX. So go ahead, take the 1 prize. Just trying to map out the rest of them. There we go, 5 onto the Snom, so that's prize number 4. And we just gotta get, I start to split the damage. I put 1 onto the Ice Cube, just so that I can knock it out with a Cramorant. That's something that you really have to think about the following turns. Spreading out this damage so that I can ensure that I'm getting knockouts. I just say, we'll put 2 and 2, and then I do change it to just putting all of them on to the Sobble instead. It's going to make it easier to KO. It's going to make it easier if they, evolve, and I don't have to use as many now, right? They go into a Drizzile, or they go into even an Inteleon, 120 health instead of 160, a little bit easier to deal with. And the pressure of this Drapion is always in the back. It's always something they have to worry about. This thing is ready to attack. There's still 2 Rapid Strike Pokemon in play, but and again, here's the reason why I put the third energy. I expect them to evolve that Sableye. Once they evolve the Sableye, it's no longer a Rapid Strike Pokemon, so something to consider. Again, this entire game, it is just this Inteleon. This Inteleon is putting in massive work, but every time I thought I was going to KO it, I felt like there was a better option. Something like knocking out that Snob, really, really important. Knocking out that Greninja, really, really important. So, you know, as much as I would like to deal with this attacker, and I maybe could have dealt with it sooner, I do think the path that I took was at least good enough to make it so that, you know, we are preventing my opponent from really making the plays that they want to make. Not able to attack with the Ice Cube this turn, just because they're not, I mean, unless they play a Raihan, they're not able to get enough energies onto this thing this turn. So, really difficult. They go ahead and get the Articuno. Now, this Articuno just passed on screen. For just 2 water energies, it's going to do 70 damage, and it paralyzes the active Pokemon, which is rather annoying, really. And it made things very, very tense and a little bit close for me. But there's the evolution into the Drizzile. They're not going to put another Rapid Strike Pokemon into play. Again, now this Drapion is ready to attack, and I can start powering up an Urshifu if I want for another play later. I can attach to a Sableye for later, whatever. It leaves me more options because that Drapion is already powered up, ready to go. So now they're able to evolve, look for any trainer card they want. The reason I put that Urshifu into play, though, mainly is because I needed something to put damage onto with Dynamic Tail. Dynamic Tail makes you do 60 damage to one of your Pokemon. And if I put it onto a Sableye or a Comfey or a Manaphy, that 60 damage, they only have 70 and 80 health maximum. So that quick shooting is now going to give them the KO and an extra prize card. I just can't afford that. So I don't want to put it onto the Drapion itself, because if they attack into it, then the next turn, it's a good chance that it's going to get knocked out. So I want something that's a little beefy to be able to kind of start to soak up that damage, because nothing on their side of the field is going to be able to knock out an Urshifu V, even after it's taken 60 damage. So they go ahead, they get the Level Ball, they get the Manaphy. They're worried about that Urshifu V, which I don't blame them, really, right? One Rapid Strike Energy and a Mirage Gate or a Raihan, and this game is over without that Manaphy. Roxanne does ruin things a little bit, right? Roxanne's kind of always a danger. I went down to 2 prizes, so my opponent able to utilize that Roxanne, and I don't remember what I get off the 2 cards, but, you know, it's always scary to just draw 2 cards. Now, luckily, I would see another 4 cards minimum, because I could promote the Comfey, Flower Select, that's 2, and then I have a guaranteed retreat because it has the air balloon, and I'll be able to see 2 more cards with the second. So I'm going to see 2 cards off the Roxanne, plus a top deck, plus a guaranteed 4 cards off of the Flower Select. So I'm still seeing 7 cards, which is quite a bit. Here comes a quick shooting onto that Drapion, just trying to soften it up so that I can try to really start to use the Articuno and the Aqua Bullets to soften it up and take the KO. But we are tied at 4 prizes taken each, and there we go, it's my turn. So that Roxanne actually put quite a few cards back into the deck, so I'm not really worried about decking out anymore. So I can start to make use of the cards that I get off things like Flower Selecting, which is pretty nice, honestly. Don't know what I have in hand. Get rid of the water energy, guess it's not important. You know, what are we going to do, right? Most of my Pokemon are powered up at this point. The Urshifu needs a Rapid Strike energy or a Fighting energy, so I don't think it's as important. But second Flower Selecting time, I must have some type of switch out. We get rid of a Colress. Don't remember why, but it's really... did I get rid of that Colress? Did I though? I don't know. I'm really thinking here. This must be a very difficult decision. If only I was smart enough to show my hand on camera so that we can all be looking at it together. And it could be a good learning tool. I'm not that smart though. I do get rid of that Colress though, so that's something. And I think here I just have to knock out with this. I just have to knock out this Inteleon because I can't let things start taking 120 damage all the time. It's just a little bit too much. So, see, I definitely have a Psychic Energy in hand, so I just need another Sableye maybe. Maybe that's what I was kind of looking for. I wouldn't be able to knock out with the Sableye though. I could knock out the Drizzile, that's 5. And then I still have a few more. I could knock out the Manaphy. Oh, I guess I could have, right? A Sableye would be able to win it for me. Assuming I can get this Comfey out of the active. Because there's 5 damage. I would need 5 and 7, that's 12. So, yeah, it would be enough. Oh, man. If only I had another Sableye. If only I... But maybe I didn't see that play. I'm just kind of seeing it now, actually. Again, like I said, maybe I don't have... I have to have the switch out, though. But maybe I have to attach and retreat. I already used the air balloon retreat, so that doesn't work. So, yeah, that was a little silly on my part. But we're just really trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out what the best line of players. Who do I want to put this damage on for the dynamic tail? Kind of realize that I have to use Drapion at least. Maybe, that Roxanne hurt a little bit more than I had thought or hoped, and I don't have access to Sableye, so just trying to figure it out and see what that best play is. There's the Mirage Gate. Just trying to look through the deck, see what's available to me. I guess it's not available, but yeah, we just attach a water energy. That just means a Rapid Strike energy is all I need to use something like 100 Furious Blows or G-Max Rapid Flow, but I can't really make use of the Rapid Flow thanks to something like Manaphy, but it does allow me to use 100 Furious Blows if should it come up. It doesn't. Cool. I know that because I know roughly what I did in this game, and I know I did not use Urshifu to attack. It was really just a sponge for this Drapion. So I had to scoop up net. Go ahead, send up this Drapion, and just attack Dynamic Tail, right? That's that quick shooting Inteleon does make it so I don't need a 4th energy on this thing, which is very, very helpful. Now, could I have Mirage Gate onto the Drapion? Say Path of the Peak was in play, say that wasn't a Rapid Strike. Yeah, I could have. And I had the capability of knocking this thing out no matter what. But it's always nice when I don't have to, when I can spread the resources out, to some other stuff that might need it. It also makes it so that if they boss up that Urshifu, now I just need energy to retreat, something like that. So here comes this Articuno, and this is where the paralyzed play really becomes annoying. They only have 2 prizes left. Really hoping they don't have a way of doing massive damage and knocking out this Drapion. I just kind of have to hope. I also have an escape rope and a boss's orders in my hand. So my biggest concern is a Marnie, Judge, or Roxanne. Right? I do not want to see that. I know for a fact I have escape rope and boss. So that means if they paralyze this Drapion, it's not going to be enough to knock it out, right? Even if they quick shooting brings it to 6, and then the Articuno does 7. That Crabominable is terrifying, but no Snom to power it up. So it takes 3 water energies to power up that Crabominable to be able to do anything. So not having the Snom in play is, oh my god, that would have been. Can you imagine they dynamic punch me into oblivion because they just pinged me with quick shooting so much that dynamic punch or whatever Crabominable V's attack is just destroys my Scorpion. Not very often do you see a crab beating up a Scorpion, but that could have happened for sure. Don't really have to worry about it too much. Just really don't. I just can't afford them to get rid of my hand. That's really the only thing I'm kind of sitting there back. You don't really show it on your face, but I'm just praying That's all you can do at this point, right? Just let your opponent play out their turn, and just hope that there's no Marnie or hand disruption of any kind, because like I said, that boss escape rope, they go ahead, they get the Raihan. Once I see the Raihan come out and the emergency jelly with the I don't remember what they did to do that. I don't remember why they got it, but I don't really care. Something happened, right? They attached a turn. Now they can use Wild Freeze. And once they play, you say they're thinking about it so bad. I don't know if they're thinking about playing the Raihan or what they are going to do with the Raihan, but they attach an energy to the Inteleon. Doesn't really matter at this point. Now that they've played it, they lost this game. There's really nothing they can do. Attaching to the Crabominable doesn't make a ton of sense since I only have one prize. I'm not really... I mean, I understand why they benched, right? Because if I just escape rope, the Crabominable's not knocked out by Dynamic Tail. But, so like it's like a sponge. They're using the Crabominable like a sponge to make it so that I don't knock it out and get my last prize, because Dynamic Tail knocks out everything else but the Crabominable. Just like I use the Urshifu. So I understand why they put it into play to prevent against the escape rope instant loss. But I just happen to have my boss as well. Remember, I have one prize left, and I only have a handful of cards left in deck. There's like, of course I'm going to have this boss. So, put the 6 damage, cool. Even if they put the, with the 70 damage, doesn't really make a difference. I got the escape rope, I send up the Comfey, I got the manual retreat. You see, they sent up the Crabominable, but I just boss, take the KO, and oh my god, what a close, tight game. Super well played by my opponent. So there you go, that's the whole deck. I hope you enjoy the whole gameplay. I hope you enjoyed, found it informative. Thanks so much for watching, and that was a long narration, so I'm gonna go and I'll see you next time.